Happy Friday and welcome to day 61 of our at-home training protocol. Our title today, Pristine 15, because each movement that we execute is going to have 15 reps associated with it. We're going to take our bodies through a full body training protocol, and we're going to complete 2 different trisets, 3 working sets per triset. Movement A1 is a crossover lunge. We can either load this body weight with 2 implements on either side or with 1 implement in a goblet position. Either way you choose, the protocol here will stay the same. So we're going to load one of our legs, and the opposite leg is going to be very light. We're going to allow that leg or that limb to travel across the midline of the body with whatever mobility in the hip you've got access to. Once you get into the farthest point that you have access to, you're then going to bend both knees to bring your back knee down towards the floor or as close to the floor as possible. You're going to use that front leg to press yourself back up. Now, once you get into that position that works quite well for you, you can just stay there as opposed to bringing that leg back to the returned position. Another important concept here is what the hips are doing. So it's really easy for us to artificially gain range by just opening the hip and twisting away. But now as we go into that lunge pattern, we're not actually executing what we want to execute in the hip. So I put these little pointers on my hip bones as sort of a direction to show where I actually am pointed. We want to have our little pointers facing as forward as possible. Our front leg is the driving leg. We're really going to push our heel into the floor to stand back up to keep the work happening on this spot. Movement A2 is a reverse push-up. We're going to lay on our backs, pushing our heels into the floor so we've got lots of tension through the bottom part of the body. Push our lower back into the floor, drive our elbows into the floor. And then from this position, we're going to push our body up onto the tip of our elbows, trying to squeeze our shoulder blades as hard together as possible while keeping that front part of the body rigid. Trying to keep our neck in line with the rest of our spine, performing 15 repetitions. Movement A3, we've got 2 options. Option 1 is going to be a beast hold with head taps. Knees at least hip width apart, toes dug into the floor at the same width of the knee, so not in, same width. We're going to lift our knees up off the floor, creating lots of stability through the hips in the midsection, tapping the head for a total of 15 repetitions per side. Alternatively, option 2, you can keep the knees anchored on the floor. Imagine you're pulling your hands towards your thighs, thighs towards your hands, and you're going to lift one arm at a time to its end range, not allowing the midsection or the hips to rotate or wiggle in any way. Option 3 is going to be the opposite arm and leg. Movement B1 is going to be a half kneeling chop and lift. So from this position, we're going to take an implement, weight or something from the house, and we're going to load it at our bottom hip of the leg that is extended down towards the floor. We're going to bring it up towards our chest, pause for a moment, and then we're going to extend it into the top corner. We're going to bring it back down in front of the chest and then bring it back down to the hip. So we're following this diagonal pattern that our shoulders are performing while we keep stability through the pelvis and while we keep stability through the trunk. Movement B2, Starbridge. Press your hands into the floor, press your lower back into the floor, press your heels into the floor. We're going to lift our body up off the ground so that our anchor points are our heels and then our arms and our upper back. We're going to hold this top position for a 1 count, back to the floor for another 1 count. accumulating our 15 repetitions. If you find that this fully extended position is a little bit challenging, you can shorten your lever by pulling the heels a little bit closer to your butt. Movement B3 is a rotational plank. So from your full plank position, toes on the floor, elbows anchored on the ground, we're gonna pivot through the feet so that our body faces one of the directions. We're then gonna allow this hand to reach through as far as we can and back up again. We're gonna perform 15 reps on one side and 15 on the other. If that full rotation is a little bit challenging, you're gonna keep your feet in contact with the floor and you're going to pivot through the toes, but never leave the ground. If you enjoyed Friday's Pristine 15, give our video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. Happy long weekend, Canada.